Welcome to M Squared TechCast, a live interview show offering the latest news and interviews with the people driving business, technology, and politics in Michigan. Now, your hosts, Matt Roush and Mike Brennan.
And we're back in the video studio for another edition of the M Squared TechCast.
Yes, there's been a myriad of reasons why we're not in here all the time, but we won't go into that because we're here now. And hopefully, going forward, right, Dave, we're good, right?
All the time.
He's got to
as
open
they
his
say.
Mic there. All right.
Okay.
So,
he said yes.
Yeah, he's
or
nodding
pshaw.
his
I
head.
couldn't
Yeah,
tell. So yes.
All right. Well, surprise of all, many of you have been asking, what does Kathleen Norton-Schock look like? And so we have her in the flesh today. Normally she just calls in on audio and you just hear her voice. So now you can see the person as well. Welcome.
Thanks. I wish I was a little bit more photogenic for you all, but oh well.
Oh, you're fine. And she's going to be talking about a number of items. Start off with some of her. Are you going to start off with art and cause?
I am. We have a little bit of, this is personal to me, but it also, you have a small nonprofit audience for this. So, you guys, I know because we've known each other a long time, know that exactly 10 years ago last month, Rosemary Bayer, our new state senator for District 12, a highly gerrymandered district in the northern part of Oakland County. Yep. And by the way, happy Indigenous People Day, because that's one of the bills she just sponsored. That's why we have it.
Oh, cool.
I'm only kidding. I mean, I always ascribe these things to my friends.
Dave's family is Italian, so we have...
Right. Also Indigenous people. In any case, 10 years ago,
Just indignant. Oh, okay.
10 years ago, Rosemary and I founded together after long careers, both of us, some of which we were talking about offline. Long careers, both of us in the technology industry, founded the very first L3C in the state of Michigan. And for people who don't know what an L3C is, that is a low profit limited liability corporation. What I have described to Matt a number of times as a for-profit company with a nonprofit soul.
Okay.
There are thousands and thousands of them now all over the state, but we were the first. And the reason we know we were the first is we called Lansing after we filed the paperwork and they said, what the heck is this thing? And we had to explain it to them. In any case, that is a 10-year-old company that, effective this past August, we have turned over to an ex-employee of ours, a woman by the name of Heather Carmona, who is the general manager for the nonprofit spot in Ferndale. The nonprofit spot has absorbed Ardent Cause and our 300 or so customers who were all getting our technology online. Some of our inventions like cause effects and data snaps, some of our employees, have moved over to the nonprofit spot. And one of the most wonderful things about this for me, personally, is that Heather is a previous Ardent Cause employee with a very, very long career in the nonprofit space. She, in fact, for over 15 years was the executive director for the Woodward Avenue Action Association. So much of the development that we've seen on Woodward Avenue was part of her nonprofit. So that was pretty exciting. Rosemary and I had this plan for about 2 years to begin to try and transition. She, of course, did run for state senator.
And won.
And won by 0.0007% of the vote in a highly
we could call her landslide
gerrymandered district. But we knew what we were up against, honestly, and we were excited about that.
Well, she talked to me when she was first running, and she said, "Look, what I have to do is get about 6,000 or 7,000 more people to vote in Pontiac." And I don't know if that's the only thing she did. I mean,
Bloomfield Township is what put her over my burg. And also, of course, this is connected to the fact that about a year and a half ago, as we were making those plans, I launched something called All Things Marketing. And as you guys know, I'm the ex-president of a company. I'm the ex-director of marketing for a couple of very large IT companies.
I do.
First woman to run a global product line at Unisys, right? But my big love, no matter what I've ever done, has been this theme of marketing strategy, marketing planning, marketing campaigns, and helping particularly the smaller companies, because I've done a few entrepreneurial things, not the least of which was this company with Rosemary, to get launched, because understanding that marketing for some people, particularly engineers, can appear to be an extra added expense. And some of us who've run companies know that it in fact is not overhead. If you really want to be successful out of the gate, you need to have a marketing plan, a marketing strategy, and a constant revisiting of that, launching of campaigns, and a lot of other things. So
I worked on the West Coast for 10 years, and marketing out there is an art form. I came back to the Midwest. People didn't even know how to spell marketing.
well, I started in a think tank 40 years ago. That was rivaling the Gartner Group in its day. And most of my clients were CMOs and marketing people at little companies like Apple, IBM, a company called Google eventually became a client. So, of course, we are on the same page with this. So the marketing consultancy, and no offense to Rosemary, but Rosemary will tell anyone that the last 6 months of her campaign, she happened to hire this marketing consultant. And therefore, for me, who's a very non-political person, it was kind of interesting because my one and only political candidate was a client for me. Most of my clients are very small startups. They tend to be in the same space I've been in for 38 years, which is technology. Although I have one or two clients that are what we would call second stage, $10 and $15 million companies who still are filling in the holes, right? Or maybe going through transition. They lost their CMO or they lost their director of marketing. So that marketing consultancy called All Things Marketing can be reached at www.allthingsmktg.com. Or I can be called at the office at 248-335-4445. And the nonprofit spot, by the way, which is handling all of Ardent Cause's customers and many of our inventions like data snaps and cause effects, can be reached on the web at www.nonprofitspot.com.
Okay.
So to move forward, because I am very interested in nonprofits, and you guys know that I volunteer a lot, not just because of Ardent Cause, but for lots of other reasons. This coming January, my mission of love, my passion project, along with Nicole Scheffler, called Diva Tech Talk. We will mark our 5th anniversary in January. And for anybody who hasn't heard about Diva Tech Talk, again, this is volunteer work for us. It's an extension of our normal careers. But both of us have been in technology a long time, have gone through the problem with having to hire women and not being able to find them. Do know from many of the studies from Stanford, from Deloitte, from multiple other places, Catalyst, from the Anita Borg Foundation, if you want a successful company, you need to have diversity at the top, at the middle, and at the bottom. We are in a talent war. And we need more women not dropping out of the technology field, but staying in it and coming to it. So we launched Diva Tech Talk, which is a series of podcasts with women in tech. We have podcasters will travel, although many people wind up in my dining room. And I haven't talked to you guys since July. And since that time, we only do about 1.5 a month because this is volunteer work. We did Nora Mae Kadena was our episode 89. She is an MIT graduate with multiple degrees against all odds. She grew up in California, very, very poor, a Latina. She eventually got a full ride through high school and college and through her MBA, became a Boeing IT executive for many years, founded a nonprofit, dear to my heart, called the Latinas in STEM Foundation. And now, since 2015, and that is going great guns, by the way, it's on the West Coast, of course. And she is the founder of Made in LA, which is a venture capital fund focused on, similar to what Monica Weed is doing in this area. She is focused out in the Bay Area on IT companies that specifically are doing hardware and that are typically underfunded. In other words, they are run by women of color, they are run by women of Latina origin, they are run by women, or they have major women in leadership roles. So that was our episode 89. Episode 90 is an old friend of mine and yours, I believe, Teri Takai, who capped off her 30-year career at Ford Motor Company by becoming the CIO for the state of Michigan about a decade ago, then becoming the CIO for the state of California under lovely Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then deciding she just wanted to go and become the CIO for the Department of Defense, which she did for a number of years. And now, by the way,
not much of a threat environment there.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And now, having left the Department of Defense as that new administration was entering office,
I've heard of them.
she is now the executive director at eRepublic Center for Digital Government. And by the way, she is a new co-director, another good friend of the other nonprofit I'm going to talk about soon, MCWT, and mine, Phil Bertolini.
Oh, sure.
So,
Native Oakland
Terry,
County, yes.
yeah,
right,
Teri
yeah.
Takai, it was our episode 90, and Teri Takai has a fascinating story. She is the daughter of two people who would never have come to Michigan, except for the fact they were interned. She's Japanese. They were interred, if you will, at one of the concentration camps out on the West Coast. And the University of Michigan came flying in with a grant, got them on a bus, and as teenagers brought them to Michigan, and that's how Terry wound up here. So it's a great episode. Then we did Shirisha Mandiva, CIO for Greenpath Financial, who, by the way, besides all of her IT work, for about 16 years, she was the CIO for NSF, another nonprofit, making sure our climate and our food stays safe. But the other fascinating things about Shirisha is since 2007, she and her husband have a private nonprofit that only they put money into in his village in India, where he came from. And they have this vision, and we talk about it in the podcast over the next 20 years of not just the 150 children at this point that they've given scholarships to, fed and clothed, but having a senior center. They have a school and a kids area where, in fact, they have this collaborative community with everybody contributing to each other's vitality over multiple generations. So that is our episode 91. And next week, we'll be publishing Liz Siver, who is our episode 92, a former Microsoft executive who now heads Neopollard Interactive. Neopollard Interactive is, in fact, the leader and the innovative creator of online state lotteries. And of course, the state of Michigan is just one of her many customers. And then finally, finishing up on Diva Tech Talk, Nicole recently represented us. She travels a lot because she just got her 4th or 5th promotion since we've been good friends for 5 years. So she travels a lot for Cisco, which is her daytime job, but she also represented the divas and women in general at Inforum Michigan's Generation Next event last week on a panel along with Michelle Green, the CIO of Masco, who happened to be our episode 88. And it was, by the way, keynoted by Mae Russell, Ford Mobility, head of Ford Mobility, started out when there was one developer. She now has 500. And she was our episode 78. Diva Tech Talk, of course, all of our podcasts can be found on all the channels, but you can also download any one you want from our website at www.divatechtalk.com.
And finally,
this isn't how we first met, but I know I pulled you guys into this. Matt and I met, as a matter of fact, when I was director of marketing at CA. You and I met when I was president of Telecorp. But I pulled you guys in over the years to my favorite nonprofit locally, which is the Michigan Council of Women in Technology, for whom I've been doing volunteer work. I run all their social channels and I help with the marketing strategy for 17 years. We had a great summer, all to 14 summer camps for 5th through 8th grade girls, went out without a hitch. Tomorrow night, we have a Connect Net with education tech leader ProQuest. That's in Ann Arbor. Our website contest, which has been going on for 15 years now for middle school and high school website for high school girls, will kick off in November. We have closed applications for our 3rd annual Women in Tech Award, and we will be giving that award out at the gala, which is now called the MCWT Winter Ball, which is being sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield and will take place on November 2nd. Sponsorships are completely sold out, as they usually are by this time, but there are still some remaining tickets for anybody who wants to come. It's on November 2nd, and it's always a great time. We like to call it the IT prom. Everyone dresses up. Lots of people come. You get small companies. You get large companies. Some of the girls speak who we've helped. Certainly some of our leaders hang out and have whatever those other beverages were you gentlemen were mentioning as we were kicking off.
Yes.
we're going to have to leave it at that. So I'll get you back here another month or so.
Maybe.
So it's MCWT.org for the Michigan Council. Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
www.mcwt.org. And for Diva Tech Talk, again, a passion project, www.divatechtalk.com.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.